And Sally, a little bit of confusion tonight, it seems, with different statements kind of almost contradicting each other about this crossing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of confusion all week when it comes to the Rafah crossing. Israel announcing that it wasn't going to be reopened as planned due to this delay in returning the bodies of deceased hostages. But then came the news tonight from the Palestinian embassy in Egypt, saying that it would reopen on Monday to allow individuals to cross back into Gaza. Palestinians who've been potentially separated from their families could be reunited if that was the case. But I heard also from a UN source who'd also heard the same thing, that Rafah was reopening, that it wouldn't be reopened to aid. And then came a swift response from the Israeli Prime Minister's office, refuting that, saying that wasn't the case and that Rafah would not be reopening. Benjamin Netanyahu's office have said that the Rafah crossing opening will be considered based on whether Hamas returns deceased hostages and implements the agreed-upon framework. So it seems the Rafah won't be reopening, according to the Israelis. And that's because 18 deceased hostages remain in Gaza. One more was returned in the early hours of this morning, Eliyahu Margalit, a 75-year-old Israeli who was killed on October the 7th and taken into Gaza. His body was returned overnight and identified. His daughter was also kidnapped on October the 7th, but later released. Now, there's a lot of anger here in Israel. There's another protest in Tel Aviv tonight over the fact that these deceased hostages still haven't been returned. But of course, it is not an easy process accessing some of them who we understand are trapped in collapsed tunnels, under rubble. It's not clear whether the location of all of them is even known, but it is causing a lot of anger here in Israel. And by the same token, there's accusations coming from Hamas that Israel has violated this ceasefire agreement yet again, with the deaths of 9 people hit by Israeli fire in Gaza City in a vehicle that the Israelis say was suspicious and that had crossed the yellow line, which is the line that the Israeli military has withdrawn to in Gaza. But there's no clear demarcation. It's certainly very messy, it's very complex, and it's very complicated, and proving still very deadly at this stage. Both sides are accusing each other of violating the terms of this ceasefire. So what could be very key to all of this is on Monday, Israeli media is reporting that the US Vice President J.D. Vance and envoy Steve Witkoff will be visiting Israel to discuss the next phase of what happens in this ceasefire. And I've spoken with the UN sources who are involved in determining what happens and implementing what happens in this next phase. And according to them, they said to me, it's very, very unclear. So certainly, while this ceasefire is holding for now, it's very fragile, it's very tense. This visit, potentially from the US Vice President, could be key, not just on it holding, but also crucially on what happens next.